Hanno, welcome to the Empower Network TV. We're going to talk about the three questions. Thank you so much for being here. You're coming to us in the future, 8 hours ahead in the future. So 9 p.m. where you are. How are you doing tonight?
I'm okay. I'm really quite excited to be here. It was a beautiful day in London. The skies were blue, the fields were green, the trees were trees. So kind of full immersion into nature. How are you?
I'm thrilled to be talking with you. We were talking for the 3 minutes before we went on here, and you just entered it right before we went on, and you said, Amos, let's talk about the three questions. You deal with all your students, and you asked me how many thoughts does the average person think a day? I have no idea. I said, I don't know, 80,000. I don't actually know.
Yeah, it's roughly about 70 to 80,000. So you're kind of spot on right there. Kind of thing. Yes, that's quite good. It's quite a lot, isn't it?
Well, it's a lot. And you set us up before we went live. You said the three questions I take all my students through. And I was like, okay, well, I want to hear this. So where do you want to start, with that or with your story? Or because you have quite the story too.
Yeah. So maybe start and continue with question number 2 right there. Why not go through the full kind of 3 questions right here? So we've got like 70 to 80,000, let's say 80,000 thoughts. And that's the second kind of question is, how many of these thoughts do you think in percentage are an exact repetition of thoughts you had the previous day?
I don't know, not 90%, like they're probably all in autopilot.
Oh my God, there we go. 90%, you're good at this.
I'm good at guessing.
90% kind of thing, basically. So it's 90% exactly the same thought, basically, in the previous day. You see, so it's quite kind of makes us to wonder, basically, why are we doing this every single day, going through the same kind of thoughts? And how many? Third question now. How many of these thoughts do you think of a kind of, let's say, an unbalanced nature that maybe, let's call it a negative nature, looking at kind of, judging oneself in a way?
Oh, it's over 90. For me, I feel like I'm becoming more aware. It's probably like 99%.
Yeah, but the average probably also would be kind of in the region of 70 to 80% of these kind of thoughts, especially of these kind of repetitive thoughts, of thoughts like, oh, you're not good enough, you're not maybe fast enough, you don't learn enough, you haven't done enough studying, you're not good at this, why wouldn't you do that? And these constantly kind of these thoughts are constantly in our head. And just imagine if we could take these 90% of your mind. Just imagine, kind of thing, we see what room this could make, what space this could make for you. What could you then invite in if you allow these kind of thoughts just to kind of drift away, not to push away, but just to kind of drift away and make room, basically. What could you invite in? What would you like to invite in?
I don't know. I want to go there. So let's talk about this because this is exciting, Hanno.
Okay. What would you like to know?
I do want to know. Yeah. I want to know your story. Like, what brought you here?
Okay, it's a long story all the way through kind of complex PTSD. So I'm German born, done my Abitur in Germany, studying Latin, advanced maths for A-levels and all of this, economics, and then decided after my national service in Germany to go to England to study English for the first year, and then study business at Brunel University. Then came the wild years. I call them the Soho years, when I kind of was managing a pub right in the center of Soho. I call them the wild Soho years. But then kind of this moment came one morning. I was on the tube, and I had a little bit of a hangover, kind of thinking, oh, what am I doing with my life? Kind of thing. Yeah, there must be something more to it. I opened the daily newspaper, and wide in the center, there was an advertising full spread, both pages of, do you want to become a Met police officer? And I said, yeah, I can do that. So basically, I went to work, basically tell all my kind of the customers, say, oh, I'm going to join the police, I'm going to apply for this. Everyone just kind of laughed at me, basically. No, not you. You're not the person basically wanting to become a police officer. And it's like, hold my beer, hold my drink, or my coffee this morning, hold my coffee. And then kind of went through this kind of application process. It took a year to get in. And then starting the kind of 2-year training program in Hendon Police College, become a police officer. And I was always quite kind of turning towards, let's call it danger, kind of thing, kind of attracted me. Anything kind of where there was kind of chaos, I wanted us to kind of, be in a way, almost especially just to help the situation. So I got public order trained as well. And then in my third year, was just after the second year, I was in the riots in Tottenham. There's huge kind of riots in London. The entire town part was on fire. It was chaos and everything was burning down and huge amounts of violence. And I was there on the front line for the entire night, completely exhausted. Can't remember half of it. That's obviously kind of was the point for the complex PTSD to then kind of kick in and kind of was triggering this. And I was living with complex PTSD for 10 years. And this kind of was playing myself a lot, really, basically, for maybe kind of having a lot of sick days or using negative coping mechanisms just to deal with that stress that kind of arises through complex PTSD. Certain therapies didn't work, counseling didn't work, CBT didn't work. And then after 10 years, I decided to go through residential treatment to really kind of, sort myself out in a way. And EMDR was then kind of started, or was kind of diagnosed with complex PTSD, with ADHD, with depression, with anxiety, so the full kind of package, really. And it was then that mindfulness got introduced to me along with EMDR. And it was like the first moment I allowed myself to be still, even if it was just for a few seconds. Suddenly stillness entered me. It's like, wow, that's so special. That's something I've never felt before, like no thoughts. And then in the summer afterwards was when the COVID pandemic hit, I was living in France. I just moved out of London, lived in the south of France, and a friend told me to read a copy of Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. And it took me like the entire summer to read it, because like after every chapter, I needed to put the book down. I was mainly reading it on the beach, and then just look out at the beach and to kind of just take in this immensity of that book, of thinking that a new way of being is possible, not just for the self, but for people around me. And and then I decided, okay, that would help me, the mindfulness, the psychotherapy. I want to study this as well. I want to learn this and bring this to more and more people out there. So I started with the inner MBA course by Sounds True, and this then kind of started the next thing. So it always like one thing started the next, started the next, started the next. And I've got fascinated by the teachings of Tara Brach and Jack Cornfield, and kind of thinking, I wonder if I could be a mindfulness teacher, a meditation teacher. And then a year later, a friend kind of, pulled me towards a course to become like a neuroscience-based mindfulness meditation facilitator. So I got trained with that for half a year, and then was working with them as a teaching assistant, as a mindfulness meditation facilitator. So a teaching assistant there, and suddenly Facebook opened up an advertising for training with Tulku Lobsang Rinpoche, a highly kind of respected Tibetan who is trained by the best of Tibet, really, to become a shamatha meditation teacher, or Shini meditation teacher. And Shini states for calm abidance. And that's something I really wanted to aim at. So I started this 9 months program of really quite hard practice and kind of weekly, monthly meetups with Rinpoche, and getting the teachings of shamatha really, in me, open myself up to these kind of teachings of emptiness, really. And I try to kind of explain this to students. It's like, just imagine life is like a Tetris game. You might remember Tetris from back in the days, the Game Boy, the Tetris and everything that happens in life just kind of falls down as little kind of blocks. And because it happens so fast, life happens so fast, we don't really have time to organize all these bits we are learning. We just kind of stack them somewhere, and then we have this kind of wall of kind of these building blocks of life, but with holes everywhere, and just kind of obscuring our view, really, and not really being able to pick maybe what could help us in any kind of situation. And with Shini is having this kind of Tetris block like this allows us to enter stillness, to then, make the Tetris block go boom, like being in space, and then suddenly basically experience the emptiness that is space, that is a universe, and seeing everything that kind of, held us in, like stars in the universe, and we're having suddenly this kind of, this first feeling of emptiness, yet also sort of illumination as well. We're seeing the stars still, but now that we have created this clarity within our mind, that we are able now to go from the conventional mind to the mother mind, or the universal mind. Basically, we're able to see things clearly, and can kind of bring these kind of pieces back when we need it. All these bits of information, all these bits of kind of teachings, our life experience, all this information I kind of received when I was a police officer, all that drama, all that trauma I've kind of witnessed. Basically, I'm now able to see it with a lens of clarity, really, under a different kind of view, and also able to not have this in front of me like a wall, but just seeing it. And I was talking to a friend earlier today. It's like having all these emotions, all these memories, maybe as pots of color, sitting around me, and kind of visualizing myself as like an artist, and having a blank canvas in front of me, and now being able to have all these different pots of memories, and picking up the brush, and then using these memories to then kind of paint and create, and basically not use like the difficult, challenging memories as something that is blocking me, but actually using this as paint to paint basically the world I would like to see for myself.
Oh, that is profound. That is a profound analogy you just said, Hanno. So it's like taking what we were trained to see as trauma, as loss,
Yeah.
as pain, and you're using it to make your canvas more beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, it's also, as I'm studying, at the moment, I'm doing a master's in integral transpersonal psychology, and also a postgraduate advanced diploma in presence-orientated psychotherapy as well. And it's a very much cutting edge kind of approach, yet also kind of thousands of years old approach to, turning psychotherapy and psychology, upside down, really, or see the totality of it, basically, not basically taking away what was there, basically, but trying to look at it more at a holistic level, to allowing psychotherapy not just to happen in the head, but allowing ourselves through like polyvagal theory, focusing, somatic experiencing, to take the full body into our being, really. That's bringing the awareness into the body as well, almost like an extension of our kind of physical kind of brain, and understanding that our mind is not matter. It's more than just the kind of physical understanding we see as a brain. And this then suddenly kind of opens ourselves up to connection, to realizing that the coincidences are not coincidences, but we see them, like what Carl Jung has proven, as kind of synchronicity. Sometimes you maybe see a number, your favorite number here and there, or maybe a favorite color, and it's kind of realizing these are not coincidences, but Carl Jung has already proven that these are synchronic events in a way. And this, I think, is important to understand. Like 500 years ago, science and religion, or spirituality, it's called spirituality, they parted almost in a way. And now, with the advancing days of quantum physics, quantum computing, we need to get a spiritual understanding again, or maybe kind of removing the walls that we had towards spirituality, that science and spirituality walked in different paths. But now we understand, and we can now scientifically prove that there is something we don't understand. A few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, there was this experiment, was either Oxford or Cambridge, about two quantum computers communicating different parts of the world without any kind of connection and transmitting data. And they can't quite prove it how, basically, but this is how we now basically need to have the shamatha mind of getting into the connection and understanding Carl Jung's work of synchronicity, that this is basically quantum physics or quantum computing in a way, and to comprehend what will come in the future. I think the human mind requires this clarity of mind to make room and to give agency as well. How can you have really kind of true choice if all ever you've made decisions on are building blocks from the past and might have been stacked incorrectly? So we're just kind of allowing ourselves to make a decision from kind of emptiness, from clarity, emptiness being not empty, but having clarity. And also using our body to guide us as well. I often refer to it as, reversed causality. Normally A happens and B happens and C happens and D happens and B happens because A has happened. But my theory is that sometimes we do B because C requires for B to be done in a way. So that sometimes we have a gut feeling to do something, again, listening to our body again. Sometimes we do something which we can't really explain logically, but we are still compelled to do something, to do a learning, to do a course, or to maybe just meet someone, meet this person, and suddenly we then kind of realize that having met that person or having read that book, enters us onto a path, what that basically maybe the future requires us to do, very much like the film Arrival in a way, or Interstellar as well, that there is a way basically for like the future to communicate us basically what we are required to do for whatever path we are on, and to not trying to explain this logically, but allowing to dive into our body and then basically kind of see how the energy is in our body, where we are pulled, and then trusting our gut instincts to do the right thing, what is required from us.
Wow, I could listen to you talk for hours. I love how your mind works. Where did you get such a curious mind? You have a hunger and a thirst for this stuff.
Oh, this was always present with me, kind of thing, basically. And so since I was a kid, I remember kind of my dad kind of worked in the garden. I always kind of fired kind of questions at him, kind of thing, basically. And then basically he got these kind of books for me, like what is what. So any kind of topic, basically, I started to have an interest in. Basically, he just gave me this kind of book, and I had an entire kind of series of topics I was interested in, explained basically to a child mind. And this, I think, is the importance, and to not lose our childlike curiosity. A really good word which I've forgotten again. I was neonetic or neothetic or something. It is basically, it is our capability to have this childlike curiosity continuing into our adult life. And in Shine practice, I teach this as a yoga of the child, to bring back this kind of curiosity, this kind of non-grasping, of letting go, of non-judgment, and these kind of concepts we have as a child very much, but then often get lost through this kind of traditional education, or maybe also to kind of shame of, or to maybe not being able to, understand our emotional landscape as well, but kind of just allowing this curiosity to come back again, this kind of childlike curiosity. I think this word is, and have the bravery to kind of follow this curiosity as well, not be afraid.
Wow. I'm just so thankful you're here in the Empower Network TV. I'm shocked we've not crossed paths before, but I'm so thankful we have now. I'm definitely going to reach out to you after. I want to get you on a round table with two other gentlemen, and the three of you. I love hearing the three of you talk, and we're gonna have a round table around quantum something. How can people connect with you, Hanno? Are they free to? I'll tag you in this after. Are they free to Facebook you? Do you have a website you want to drop? Do you have a Facebook group?
It's normally, I normally communicate on Instagram. I've got a huge kind of Instagram following, where I try to put my findings into digital art. So everything basically I'm going through with my experience at the moment, recently had I lost my partner 2 months ago, and 6 weeks ago my dad passed away. So it's been a difficult kind of time.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
That's another kind of dimension, the dimension of grief. It's something I thought I understood by losing maybe grandparents, but I didn't understand grief until I lost my partner. There was something there. And for me, the medium of Instagram helps me, and Photoshop and taking pictures is to kind of externalize or bring out my emotions, but also my kind of teachings and learnings as well in a kind of graphic form. So it's on Instagram, and it's Hanno Universe. It's an HANNO universe. It's where I've got thousands of kind of pictures on there and little videos and stuff and everything I create.
Wow. Hanno Universe, HANNO Universe on Instagram. Hanno, you are an absolute gift. You have made my day. Thank you. I'm going to, as soon as we get off here, I'm going to set up a roundtable. I'd like you to be involved in that because we have some things to discuss with some other people if you're open to that. I love how your mind works, brother. So thank you for being on the Empower Network TV. Is there anything else you'd like to end with before we wrap here?
No, just gratitude for allowing me to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you are a blessing, my friend. You are a blessing. If you've been listening or watching the Empower Network, can you pronounce your last name again for me? Forgive me, Hanno
Eigenbrod.
I want to know how to say that. I don't know how to say that, but that is a strong name, brother. Okay, well, you've been watching Hanno here in the Empower Network TV. Please connect with him on Instagram. It's Hanno Universe. And I'll be reaching out to you now, Hanno, and let's send it here. But thanks, everyone, for being in the Empower Network TV. Thanks for watching. And Hanno, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chat soon. Ciao for now.